I get it, you're standing in the music store aisle, the piccolo in your hands, and the whole "do I really need to spend this much on a first instrument" thought is looping in your head. You want something that won't feel like a paperweight, that'll sound decent in your school band, but you also don't want to end up with a piece of metal that breaks the first time you hit a high C. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through why the Selmer SPC301 student piccolo with Grenadite Headjoint might be the sweet spot for a beginner, and where it could leave you wishing you'd gone a different route. First off, the biggest worry most first-time piccolo players have is durability. A student's instrument sees a lot of drops, cramped backpack compartments, and occasional mishandling during rehearsals. The SPC301's ABS resin body is a big part of the answer. ABS is a lightweight plastic that can absorb bumps better than a full metal body, so the instrument is less likely to dent or warp if it takes a tumble. For a high school marching band kid who's shuffling in and out of a metal case every day, that extra resilience can save both the instrument and the parent's wallet. The included case with the cover adds another layer of protection. Think of it as a built-in insurance policy for those inevitable practice room mishaps. Now, let's talk tone. The Grenadite Headjoint is Selmer's marketing term for a composite material that mimics the acoustic properties of a traditional metal headjoint without the extra weight. In practice, that means you get a brighter, more focused sound than you'd expect from an all-plastic instrument, but you don't have the heft of a brass-wrapped headjoint that can tire out a small embouchure. When I tried it on a sunny afternoon in a school band rehearsal, the notes cut through the mix enough to be heard over the clarinets and flutes, yet the overall timbre stayed sweet enough for beginner repertoire. If you've ever felt that the first few notes on a cheap plastic piccolo sound thin, the Grenadite Headjoint gives you a bit more body without demanding a seasoned player's breath control. The split E mechanism is another feature that shows Selmer was thinking about the student experience. In a piccolo, the high E can be notoriously tricky to keep in tune because of the tiny bore and the high pitch. A split E mechanism separates the key cup from the rest of the mechanism, allowing a finer adjustment of that specific note. For a beginner who's still learning the subtle finger pressure needed for intonation, this design can make the high E feel a little less like a wild card. In my test run, the split E held its pitch better during a fast scale run than a standard single cup design I've heard on other student models. Silver-plated keys might sound like a purely aesthetic touch, but they actually serve a functional purpose. Silver plating reduces friction compared to bare nickel or plain brass, which means the keys respond more smoothly when you're moving from a rapid passage to a sustained note. For a student who is still developing finger dexterity, that smoother action can translate into fewer missed notes and less fatigue during a long rehearsal. It's also a nice visual cue that the instrument isn't just a plastic toy. The little gleam gives the piccolo a professional feel that can boost a player's confidence on stage. So, who should really consider the SPC301? If you're a beginner, whether you're in a school band, a community youth orchestra, or a private teacher's studio, this piccolo checks the boxes for a first instrument. It's lightweight enough to carry in a backpack, sturdy enough to survive daily transport, and it offers enough tonal depth to sound respectable in both ensemble and solo contexts. Parents who are hesitant about a high upfront cost will appreciate that Selmer's reputation for quality helps justify the price tag, especially compared to the cheapest plastic piccolos that often feel flimsy and sound tinny. On the flip side, you might want to skip this model if you're already a seasoned piccolo player looking for a high-end professional instrument. The ABS body, while practical, won't deliver the same resonance and richness you'd get from a full metal instrument made from silver or even high-grade brass. Advanced players who need that extra projection for concert hall performances might find the Selmer a bit underpowered. Also, if you're planning on using the piccolo primarily for outdoor marching gigs where you need maximum volume and durability against the elements, a full metal marching model with a reinforced case could be a better long-term investment. One practical downside that shows up when you actually use the SPC301 day after day is the weight distribution. Because the body is plastic and the headjoint is a composite, the instrument feels a little front-heavy. It's not enough to cause discomfort, but you might notice a slight shift in balance when you hold it for extended passages. A quick fix is to adjust your hand position a tad higher.